And then let's hit go live because we're basically been on time all day.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. This one started right away. Okay, I got a black screen now. It's just delayed.
Oh,
Let's see. There we go. Okay.
we're live.
We are live. So, wow, we are killing it today, Chris. This is what, the fourth, fifth, sixth video we've done today? So
I don't know.
This is my time to now.
You typically keep, don't bother me this much during the day. I get to take naps and stuff. And now all I've done today is, load files and show my beautiful mug on television, those kind of things.
So this wonderful man, Chris, is now helping us run Inside Up Games events. And the brave man that he is decided that why not just jump in with the largest convention in the world? Let's start with Essen.
Yeah, I've helped out the past two conventions we've done. Last time wasn't quite as immersive as this one, but yeah, no, we still haven't picked my title yet. I think something along the lines of executive vice president. Sounds great.
Yeah, I love that you're doing it on a recorded live feed. You are a master negotiator.
Yeah, you can't deny me now. Well, except for I have done all this work and now I'm negotiating my title. I probably should have done that in a little bit different order, but it's fine.
You know what? We'll meet in the middle ground. We'll do it like assistant to the executive vice president.
Oh, assistant to the assistant.
Those are always the good ones. Yeah, so we're just having fun today. We are talking about different stuff. There's a whole bunch of live streams that we've done talking about different games, and what we're doing right now is talking about teams. So teams, oh yeah, boys, ready. So teams, because we both have it, because we're a team, is the second expansion to Summit. Summit is.
Do we want to mention Summit a little bit first and talk a little bit when we were talking about?
I was literally saying Summit when you interrupted me.
Well, I got cut off in the first video we did because your sound wasn't working. So now I'm just amazing. Like, I must talk. It's fine.
We had our see. We both think that we're both funny, so it's wonderful.
We're both dads. We both love dad jokes. Like, it's just us talking about random stuff.
So we have this witty banter, and unfortunately, we didn't know that for the first video, no one could hear Chris. So our witty banter was one-sided.
It was just Conor responding to like whatever I was saying, person. But
people just thought I lost it. Yeah. Why does he have a headset on? Who's he talking to? So yes, Chris is right. So Summit is the first game that I created as a designer, and the first game that Inside Up Games, the company I made, published, thanks to a Kickstarter and amazing, tons of amazing support and backers. And it is kind of, it was the flagship game of the company for a long time. It is a 1 to 6 player survival game that you can play competitively, cooperatively, or solo. And as you can tell from the heft, it is full and heavy.
Oh yeah, it is a hefty game.
You could club an intruder with it if you wanted to. We just did a video with Jordan Danielson, who is the artist of this entire series. You can check that one out on our site shortly when it's uploaded, and on our YouTube channel. Jordan's an amazing artist and graphic designer. Oh God, see that?
You need to lift some weights or something.
Are you kidding me? Look at these.
Yeah, okay. The way you struggled with your own board game, it just made me think.
See, what I do is I fill it with rocks, so that way when I move it, people are like, that seems like a valuable game. This is Yeti, the first expansion to Summit. See, again, we think we're funny. It comes.
We think we're really funny.
We think we're funny. In the game, you'll be using your own characters. Here, I actually have some open in front of me here. You'll be using.
I have some too.
Oh, dang.
Oh, you have. There you go.
There you go. Different ones. There we go. So the base characters, that's an expansion character that Chris has. And they're all asymmetrical player mats with their own unique abilities and stats, where every player has to carry their own food and oxygen. But the more they carry, the heavier they get. And as that weight increases, their speed decreases. So there's resource management, press your luck, all that kind of stuff in the game. A whole bunch to chew on. There is tile laying, root building. You have to choose your difficulty settings. Very easy to very hard on this massive map, which, as we talked about in the last feed, actually started as a pizza box. So you can see that it's literally the same size as a President's Choice pizza box. There you go. So that's the game. There's a lot more to it. There is a karma track that's unique, and it's in its competitive mode. There is the cooperative side of the board that then uses
the Sherpas, right?
That's right, the Sherpa track on that side there, and a time of day track. So there's different modes of play, there's different difficulty settings that you choose when you're setting up the game, from an easier game to a longer game. A lot going on, a lot to chew on. That's the base game. The teams expansion, now that you know, actually the one thing I should have said during that whole mumble jumble was that you'll actually be laying these triangular tiles, and these triangular tiles are laid in such a way that the ropes will connect, and you will use those for some, oh, that's not accurate. You'll use those for some point-to-point movement on the mountain.
Come on, John. Connor's cheating over here.
Each not's a point of movement. Each of the different colored ropes are different. There's neutral, there's thin air making you use oxygen, and there's ice that slows you down. It has more knots on it. That's how the base movement in the game works. Now, along comes the teams expansion that Chris and I were showing off.
Teams.
And it again allows one, actually not one because it's a team game, but it allows players to then play the game in its team mode, either competitively or cooperatively. And you will do that by, selecting your teammate, selecting your characters, and then if it's a competitive game, for example, Chris and I would have to beat the other team. So whoever the other two players are, be us against them in the competitive mode using the competitive side of the board. If we're playing cooperatively, then again, Chris and I as a team and the other group as a team, trying to reach their goal, trying to still win and beat the other team, but using the cooperative mode of the game. So it's almost like a semi-co-op at that point, at which point Chris and I are working together against the other team that are cooperating together. It removes some of the things like some of the take that and not that is very strong in the competitive mode of the game. So as a little a side note is there are the two modes of the game, the competitive and the cooperative, which I'd mentioned already. The Dice Tower loved the cooperative. They did not like the competitive because the take that was too hard. Whereas Man vs. Meeple loved the competitive more than the cooperative.
So I think that's just such a uniqueness to like player styles. And I think like when we're talking, not that this is a plug for Summit, but eventually we'll get to teams, right? I think that's what I've enjoyed most about the game itself is that it has a flavor for everyone. Like the cooperative is very cooperative. It is a difficult game, don't get me wrong, but it is very like share friendly. It's very like I help you, you help me,
or we all die
kind of aspect. right. Whereas I feel like some of them it does have kind of like an individualistic piece to it. This is very cooperative, and the vice versa. The competitive can be very competitive, and I think for folks who and I will push back a little bit on the like too competitive, right? Because like I think based on how you use a mechanic of the competitive is the karma cards. Some of them are hurtful to other players, and it hurts your karma. So it ends up kind of reverting to negative points at the end of the game, or less points. Whereas the positive karma cards, give you points at the end of the game, but they do end up helping, other people. And so I think like, yes, it's competitive, but you could also challenge yourself by just saying like, I'm not playing negative karma cards.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I try to tell people all the time is playing the evil cards can be fun, but you're not going to win. You play the evil cards sparingly and at the right strategic moment for maximum effect. But if you just screw everybody over, so basically what Chris was talking about is that karma track, which I showed really quickly. And what ends up happening is it is a huge scoring change, more than the actual race. So the race is scored here, but the actual karma track, you can move your karma track marker from way up here at 12 points all the way to -2. That's a 14-point spread. And if you're going to give up 14 points in this game, you're going to lose the game. So
especially this game that doesn't have like an overwhelming point total, like games that go up to like 200-300 points.
Right.
I mean, I've seen a game play with like sub triple digit points pretty often.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So 14 points is a big deal.
That's a big number. So it's one of those things where I mean people like it because if everyone in your group feels like being mean, you can all be mean to each other. It gets kickback because there'll always seem to be one person in the group that everyone wants to pick on, and then that person's feeling gets
Right,
hurt.
right, right,
Right. So then I was like, well, just play the cooperative mode. Like, don't.
right.
If the game's too mean, it's because your friends are being mean. Like, I'm
Because your friends are jerks.
I'm giving you the toys to play with. It's not my fault they threw it at your head, which you can literally
Mhm.
do in the game. Not don't throw the
Yeah,
game at their head. It's a card.
right, right. But I
Um,
think what Teams does well is it combines the two. It gives you that versatility of a cooperative with a competitive.
yeah. And actually, one
Because
of the
you again, if it's a 4-player game, it can be 2 teams of 2, right? And it's
exactly.
6-player game, it's 3 teams of 2. So
And it's great. And one of them, actually, my best and harshest critics is Greg, who a lot of people will know because he helps out a lot of the physical cons. And Greg is very opinionated, and I love him for that. And it allows me the option.
what? No, he's not.
It allows me the choice of listening to or ignoring his opinion because it's his opinion. So when I showed him when I played him through the team's prototype when I was getting ready to go, and to kind of feel out what he thought about it as well, he literally like was playing and looked up at me with teary eyes and said, "This is so fun," because it just ratchets it up in the best way in the cooperative way. That pressure ratchets up, but also thanks to these climbing ladders, which we haven't really mentioned yet, it kind of gets you. It can get you. Yeah, there you go. It can get you out of situations that you could get into the first game. And now with the competitive mode, when you're working in a team, I can be there with Chris and be going, "Hey, Chris, all right, why don't you offer them some of your food? Get yourself some karma points. When they say yes and accept it, I'm going to use my poison card and poison the food they're taking." So there's just like a whole new level of just like backstabbery, if that's even a word,
Yes.
right? Of just the goofiness that's to it. So we should get into the game though to actually show it off. So what
Yeah.
Chris was
Yeah.
actually
Well,
showing
let's talk about everything else.
right there. So yeah, in Teams itself, in the box. Oh, I already took some stuff out. First of all, there are all the new cards. There's there's new
Right.
event cards, item cards, and karma cards, and a whole bunch of them. And then they're also separated with some iconography, which you can't see here. But some cards can be used with either the base game and or the Yeti expansion and or the Teams expansion. And then some will
Right.
be labeled, if it's just for Teams or just for ladders, if they can only be used in either one. My puppy dog has come to say hello. Hello, puppy dog. You're freaking out because everybody else left. And then below that, you have the 2 new player boards, which actually brings the total up to 10 different players you can play with. I never recommend going more than 6, but yeah, there you go. He's got them over there too. So then you have your player boards. Again, they're new. They're based on real people. They're asymmetric with their stats and abilities. And then below that, we have 4 more punch boards filling up the box. And these are a whole bunch of new tokens that go with the new cards,
Right.
as well as these new climbing ladders. And you can see there's the 3 different types, the neutral, thin air, needing oxygen, icy, slowing you down. And there are 4 different designs of ladders and one in each different type. So this allows players to then play these square tiles either over open board space or over the triangular tiles from the base game or over a combination of the two. So there were a number of examples, either competitively or cooperatively, where a couple things could happen. Maybe Chris cuts the rope that I'm climbing, and now I can't go up that way. Or maybe I'm climbing and there's a sheet of ice that falls off and collapses on the mountain, or there's a crevasse and I can no longer pass it. So that is shut down. Well, these climbing ladders are something that you can then use to play and continue your movement, or use them to cut off another player's movement. Now, because I'm evil, when I design them, is I actually, if you look at the back of them, they all have weight as well. Exactly. So every tile that you carry is actually going to penalize you for your overall weight. And for anyone who's played the
Yeah.
game
Again,
and
if right. Perfect. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to cut you off, but go ahead.
for anyone who's played the game, you know the importance of weight, which I've talked about before. So again, everyone's responsible for carrying their own food and oxygen. But as they pass the icons carrying more and more, their weight marker goes up. And as that goes up, their speed goes down and it maxes out. So if you're stuck carrying a bunch of climbing ladders, you're carrying less food or less equipment, less items. less things to keep you safe. So there's always a trade-off in the game, and it's do you load up heavy, or do you go light and fast? And it's one of the things that Jamie Stegmaier loved about the game is when you start up, once you've learned how to play the first time, you actually decide how to outfit your character. How much food and how much oxygen do you want? There's unlimited.
Right.
Put those cubes wherever you want on your board. That's your strategy. That's how you've loaded your bag. Now you have to deal with it. Sorry, I thought you were going to say something, so I stopped. I didn't want to talk
No,
over
I
you,
was just agreeing with you.
steamroll you. So yeah, so that is
Well,
the
that's
team's
you act like
expansion.
that's anything different than what we normally do.
Shut up, Chris. That's a team's
You're so mean
expansion.
to me.
It is. It was releasing this year. It is at Spiel. It is in stock. We have a crazy sale on through the Spiel weekend, so check it out while you can. Um, and it adds again. You can play it with just the base game and or with the Yeti if you want. It's all there, and it adds quite a bit of fun and shenanigans to an already popular game. So that's pretty much it. Unless there's anything else, Chris, you could think that I've forgotten to mention.
Not really. The only question I was going to ask is there any interactions or mechanics that, like, not necessarily new? Obviously, the ladders are new, but kind of some like interactions that you notice with the addition of the expansion that kind of
I think the big
change
thing,
some of the dynamics.
yeah, the big thing with the teams is that it's people who were turned off by any take that in the base game can still play a competitive cooperative game where they still have to worry about these the mechanics of the cooperative game, but they can do it in a competitive manner, which works really nicely. And then again, just that level of kind of when you play competitive on the base game, it's every man for themselves. You can make some alliances, you can backstab each other, but it's very much like every man or woman for themselves. And now with the teams, there's something that's really kind of fun and nice about being like, okay, don't worry, you got this. I'll carry extra food for you. I can handle the weight. Don't
Right.
worry. You know what? I've got room for this. I'll load it up and I'll get
Mhm.
it to you at the top. And there's really that kind of like the team aspect really actually shines through in the game, which is fantastic.
Mhm. I was going to say, especially when you're trying to. I think one of the advantages of the competitive or the of this expansion, the team's expansion, is in that competitive mode. There is that kind of I want to race to the top, especially when you get to the higher parts of the trek of the mountain, the summit itself. You kind of want to get up and get back down because you don't want to get stuck there.
Yeah.
And I think that idea of okay, now I'm going to dump all my stuff to my teammate, let me race up and down, and then grab that back so they can race up and down,
Yeah.
and then we go. Or I think it allows for a lot of those push mechanics that sometimes happen in a competitive or cooperative mode, but it allows for there to be the kind of again that blending that we keep talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is fun, which is something I dig. So yeah, so anyways,
But yeah, no, that's all I had.
that is the team's expansion. Unfortunately, due to the complexity of Summit, it is one of our only games not on Tabletopia. So unfortunately, you cannot test it online. We do have it. My puppy's being loud. We do have it at conventions. So once those are allowed again, you can certainly try it out. We'll have them set up. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below or join us on the Discord chat and we can talk to you about any questions you may have. But that's our last feed for today, I think. So thank you to everyone. Thanks,
Yes.
Chris. I am going to stop the streaming and